Hello. Surprise. I don't know why I say surprise. I guess it's a semi-surprise Sunday stream, I think. Some people knew about it. Whoever came to community night knew it. Oh. Hi Brady, thank you for the thank you for the minion model redeem. Thank you. I guess I'll be a minion today. That's fine. It's a mini stream with a mini me, right? Sunday, hi Seb. Hi. Yes, it's a Sunday stream. I hope you're well, by the way. I hope you made it home safe and okay. I know you were like overseas for a little bit, but I hope you're well. Yep. I'm going to leave for Japan next Sunday, so exactly a week from today. So I wanted to get as much of this game done as possible, which is why I'm squeezing in a lot of streams. Also, I didn't stream yesterday, so to make up for that as well. Hello, hi everyone. Hi Ange. I'm here. Yes, Sam. Hello. Hi Sapphire. Hello. And hi Rhea. Thank you for the lurk. Thank you. I came. You came, Brady. Thank goodness you came. Thank goodness. But yeah. I was just gonna play. I was gonna dive straight in today. No time to chat. We gotta speed run this. Speed run Silent Hill F time. Mini on. Mini. Yeah, it's a mini on. That's right. We haven't left for the airport yet, but I will say save these hopes for later. Oh, okay. Wait, so you're still overseas? Oh, okay. I thought you came back. Okay. I thought you already came back. Well, I hope your the trip goes well. Trip back goes well. Overseas too. Yes. I'm gonna go overseas as well. We're like some semi-swapping places. I will be in Japan. Japanime land. In about a week. I'm excited to like go because one, I don't have to work for 2 weeks. I took 2 weeks off of work. And then it'll be like a nice little mental break from like streaming stuff too. Although I'll miss you guys a lot. I'm excited, but I'm not excited about the traveling portion. Is that weird? Does anyone here also not enjoy the traveling portion? Where you have to like wait at airports, go on planes for 14 hours. Take the train. Lug your suitcase, you know, that kind of stuff. That I just don't like that part. I wish I could teleport there. That'll be nice. She'll abandon us. I know, I'm sorry. I'll be back in 3 weeks. I know it's really long, but I'll be back November 7th-ish, probably. Like, in terms of streaming. I'll come back, like, November, like, 3rd. I'll be back home. But stream-wise, it'll be, like, November 7th or 8th. I'll be flying back in a few. Probably when you're ending stream. Nice. This is your nice little stream before you get on the plane. If you sleep through it all, it's just like teleporting. I wish I could sleep through it all, Zev. I wish. Do you sleep well on planes, Zev? I need to know. I'm so sad because this time I think I have a middle seat. I didn't get to pick seats because I bought like a cheap ticket. So I have to sit sandwiched between 2 people. It's okay. It's temporary. It's a temporary inconvenience. It should be fine. Just pass out. I wish, Brady. Will you help me pass out, Brady? Will you just put a good little punch into my noggin so I pass out? I'll try my best to sleep. But I'm probably gonna be downloading games on my Switch and then playing like Mario Kart the whole time. Animal Crossing and Mario Kart, most likely. Only sometimes this flight back, I have to stay up for the 14 hours so I don't get jet lagged. No, my gosh, no way. Oh, that's the worst, but I hope it goes well, Sev. Stay up. Yeah, you gotta download like a bunch of like movies or videos. I don't know why, but I don't watch TV shows. I mean, not TV movies on the plane. You know, the plane gives you some movies. I never watch it. I download my own YouTube videos because I have YouTube Premium. So I just download it and I just watch that forever and ever. I've been a chill. Overdose on the Benadryl. No. If there's any kids watching this right now, don't do that. Don't take 5 doses of Benadryl, please. I hate plays because there's no space and I'm claustrophobic and the play makes me sleepy a lot. Yeah, same. I think I had something similar, but I don't know if it's like claustrophobia, but it's more like I don't like being trapped on a small space with a bunch of strangers for 14 hours. It made me feel sick. It's like I don't even get air sickness, it's just that being trapped in a small space with a bunch of strangers made me sick. Introvert level 1000. Maximize my introvert level. But yeah, it is rough. I think it would be nicer if it was like business class. And I could actually lie down and sleep. Then I would probably sleep through like half of the flight. Welcome! ね、下駄箱。学校だね。下駄箱。遅刻現金。現金か。現金現金。Okay. So let me know if the sound is good too. Gosh, this is gonna be so big. I can jump out of the window? Dang. Ah, okay, there's a room here. Is this a locker room of some sort? Oh shoot, okay. We got a passcode. A lock code. I wish I could just go on boat instead. Usually they're big and empty. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, boats are definitely big and empty. And they have beds, so you can lie down. Thank goodness. Am I hearing footsteps? I don't know why, but I feel like I heard footsteps just now. It scared me. Any loot? Loot? Anyone? It looks like I have to find a code for one of the students. Nah. Oh, there's a box. Nice! Bandage. Wait, what's the name of the student? Aoi Takeshi. Aoi Takeshi. Okay. Keep that in mind. The sound is sounding. Okay. I assume that is good. Thank you. Yada, kawaii! Yada! That scared me! That's scary! Like, 変な音しない? Oh, is that a radio? Okay, it's like a radio sound. Oh my god, that thing scared me. Bro. Oh my god, why is he such a midget? Why is it a midget? Why is it so small? Aren't they usually a lot bigger than that? Why does it have to be in the shape of a child? Is that another Hokora? Thank you for the water. Thank you. Oh gosh, it's just there. What the heck? You're just standing there. Do you see the big guy? You're just staring there. I can sleep basically anywhere. I fell asleep on my chair earlier. Oh, that's good. Then maybe you can just sleep through a lot of long flights and stuff. This isn't a Hokora. It looks like a Hokora. Oh no, it's already screen tearing. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I have to fight it later or sneak around it. Student note. The desk drawers in the teacher's storage room have locks, but they're such bad quality that they're practically useless. Just the other day, I tried using a hairpin to open it, and what do you know, it popped open almost immediately. What's the use for these secure drawers when they aren't keeping anything safe? True. Is it time to pick some locks? Bring out my lock-picking abilities? I pick locks a lot in the back rooms. Okay, maybe... Oh, it is another note. Okay. A school founder's anecdote. Buy as much of that mountain's land as you can. Borrow money if you must, for it will surely bring you great wealth. Shortly thereafter, the country commenced their dam construction plan, and the mountain Mr. Yoneda had purchased was indeed a boon. He spent every last yen he earned on his hometown of Ebisugaoka. One result of this generosity was Ebisugaoka Middle School. Mr. Yoneda donated the Inari statue and housed it inside the small shrine seen on school grounds as his way of saying thanks to the fox that blessed him. Are we talking about the same fox? あ、違う。 Are we talking about the same fox? 違う。 Okay. A school founder's anecdote. Buy as much of that mountain's land as you can. Borrow money if you must, for it will surely bring you great wealth. Shortly thereafter, the country commenced their dam construction plan, and the mountain Mr. Yoneda had purchased was indeed a boon. He spent every last yen he earned on his hometown of Ebisugaoka. One result of this generosity was Ebisugaoka Middle School. Mr. Yoneda donated the Inari statue and housed it inside the small shrine seen on school grounds as his way of saying thanks to the fox that blessed him. Are we talking about the same fox? Did he also happen to have beautiful nails painted black with black nail polish? Hi, Obey, welcome in. You talking to me? Where am I? Quiet. Oh, that's scary. The way they said it is so scary. めっちゃ今言い方怖かった。見つけたが怖い。怖すぎ。Are we doing hide and seek with someone? Does that mean I can be here? I'm short, so I think so. Alright, let me measure you real quick. Okay. I see, okay. Alright. You're short enough, Obey. Congrats. It's a short stream. I'm also short today. Look at me. I too am short today for the short stream. But welcome in. I hope you're having a good day off of work. You anything fun today? Just relaxing. Hi, Junie. Scary or spooky? Do you like spooky or scary? Hi, Junie. Welcome, welcome. Gosh. なんか引き出し、引き出し。あられ、okay. My gosh. I'm just waiting for the monsters to pop out. Oh, I need a key. なるほど。Maybe it's in the teacher's room. 先生じゃないわ。教員なんて言うんだっけ？職員室か。職員室にあるのかな。小学6年。女子更衣室。あれここは？ I have to find a key. 小学5年。It's gonna be one of those levels where you have to like search for a bunch of keys, I guess. 職員用物置。
キーボックスが開かない。鍵がいる。
Another 鍵. Okay. Short bay built like Nico IRL. To all faculty on patrol duty, to prevent students from going to the second floor, please ensure the corridor is locked at the end of the day. On patrol this week, Vice Principal Matsuo. Okay. 鍵をいっぱい見つけなきゃいけないのか。なんかめちゃくちゃサイレントヒルっぽくなってきた。この鍵を見つけるみたいな。Oh, pipe. Actually, I have enough weapons. これも鍵? No for Vice Principal. Vice Principal, please do not lock the key to the second floor in the desk drawer. It's impossible to open when you're not present. Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to find like 5 different keys. Okay. 結構いろいろ見つけなきゃいけない鍵がある。I had a map though. 地図があったよね。校庭にはないよね、さすがに。裏かな？ Maybe it's in the back. I'm pretty sure I went through each room, right? Each door. So far so good. Yeah, just relaxing. Gotta try this lemon jasmine tea, which was yummers. Ooh, that sounds good. Lemon with any kind of tea is actually kind of good. I've tried like lemon green tea, which was good. And of course lemon is good with black tea or English tea. Is this where I left them?
ひな子は苦しんでる。俺には相棒を放っておくことはできない。
いつまで相棒ごっこ続けるの？もうあなたには相棒なんていないんだよ。
That is so weird. So apparently, before we got to this school, they were talking about how I'm already dead. That I'm already dead this whole time. I don't know what's going on. I thought about it a little bit, like, afterwards, after I finished playing it last Friday. And I was like, what does it mean? Does it mean maybe I died and maybe they're here? Maybe he wanted to, like, come rescue me or something? Rescue my spirit? So I'm just a spirit, but they're still alive and they're just here in the spirit realm. I don't know how I died though. How would I have died? Was it beat to death by my abusive father? Okay, nothing in there. I built like... I don't know what I'm built like. What are we built like? We're built like people. We are human. ねえ、全然わかんない。どこ行くの? Is there anything here? No. We have to go back outside. This was where the Hokora was. とりあえず保存するか。どこ? ここ? Lemon. Lemon! Wasn't there like a silly video of lemon? And then they eat it and then their face scrunkles up. I love watching that video. これは? Another dried carcass. Ramune. Oh, maybe I should give it as an offering. The ramune. Shrine. Okay. I have so much points. But no, I don't have an Emma. Death by hot men. Wait, why did we talk about death by hot men all of a sudden? I mean, that's probably the best way to go, but what initiated this? What prompted this? Okay. Red carcass. Okay. Hikashi. Stamina, prevent stamina. Okay, that's pretty important. Okay, I'll save here again. I like the free roam version. I'm gonna send it to you right now. Okay, I'll have to watch it. I love the lemon videos. They're so cute. You asked how you die, so I said death by hot man. True! I was probably squeezed between Krauser's thighs and died. If that's the case, I don't want anybody to bring me back. Leave me dead. I'm happy that way. I'm happier that way. I don't really know where to go. Pyramid Head game and Fox Mask Guy, true. It feels like Silent Hill always has like at least one attractive like character or monster. Nah, I'm a little lost. Let me see. So there's a door there, but I'm trying to find the key. I can't go upstairs. どこかな? Maybe it is in the front, or maybe probably the back of the school where the monster is. Can I go outside? Oh shoot, it's actually locked now? Hi Angel! Welcome, welcome. I'm just semi-lost. Don't worry about me. I've already been here. I don't think there's any... またここ見るか。この外かな? My gosh, it's just chilling out there. Hoping one of the codes would be in here, but I don't see anything. Yoisho. Death from age gap, yaoi. What the heck? Is that what you're into, Betty? Age gap, yaoi? Oh shoot, man, really? Maji? またやんのこれ。ちょっと待って。また? I don't want to do this again. I'm assuming there's something I need here. Why else would it make me do this? Something in here? No. The heck? Oh gosh, there's so many monsters out here. Sledgehammer! Hold on. Oh man, that is good stuff. Sledgehammer used in construction impacts a devastating punch, but its weight makes it hard to oh, okay. Maybe I'll switch it out with one of the pipes. Hold R2 to unleash a powerful attack. The longer the attack is held, the more brutal it will be. While using focus, you remain where you are and take a defensive stance. This will allow you to block most attacks, but your weapon's durability will decrease much faster. When your focus gauge is full, use R1 to switch from a defensive position to unleash a focus attack. Okay. What do I do? I am oh, like this? Oh, man. Oh, wow. Oh, but these guys are kind of tough. Okay, they were a little bit tough, but not too bad. Okay, interesting, interesting. Ah, Emma, yay! That's very important. Okay. Maybe it was just for the Emma. What do I do with this? I don't want to get tangled up in this. There's a little bit of pill here. Okay. Ew, grody! Hajisai, I love these flowers. Okay, was that just really just for the Emma? Is there anything else here? Okay, there's nothing here. Oh, hi, Skelemans! Welcome, welcome! I'm trying to figure out where to go. So much flowers! Uh-oh. Am I cornered? Uh-oh. 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 Oh, gosh. Hope you're having a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm having fun! I just want to progress as much as possible before I leave next week. And I'll be gone for 3 weeks. So... Yabai, yabai, yabai. Yabai, yabai, yabai. Yabai, yabai. Yabai, yabai. Ah, okay. No. I need to go save. I picked up a lot of really important items, please. Okay, I can just... Maybe just keep going this way. Where did I come out from? I came out through a window, right? Uh-oh. Well, that can't be good. Ah! 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 There's a lot of them. Oh, there's a lot. Okay. Maybe I do need it. Okay, that's good. Okay. I can't go into the front door anymore, right? It's locked. Oh, shoot. How do I get back in? What have I done? Oh, no. That was danger. Where's the window I came out of? What? Oh no. Oh, over. It's all the way over there. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'll just go back. No worries. The metal pipe sound split every time you swing it. That would be kind of cool. We gotta make this game silly. We gotta make it silly sometimes. Oh, God. Kukana. This way? Okay. Let me back in, please. Oh, my gosh. Oh, okay. Okay, where was the... Okay, it's this way. The star swinging girl, beat that boys, Tushy. That Tushy. Whoa, baby, whoa. That is how to get outside. I just passed by it. I'm surprised that inside the school is kind of peaceful still. There's no monsters in here yet. They're all outside. Okay. Pregyan. I hope you're doing well, Skelemans, by the way. Ganbai, arigato! Yeah, 難しい. This might be kind of hard. This might be really hard figuring out what to do. Girl needs to magically conjure a gun. Yeah, where's the gun? Where's the gun when I need it? Why can't I just shoot them? That would be so much easier. My favorite way to play horror games is to add cosmetic mods that make me laugh. I know. That would make it more fun. For sure. Maybe I don't have enough points. Oh, I need 30 more points. Maybe I can enshrine something. Higashi is it 80? That's a little too much. Arade is 10 each. Kuzuti, so health and current max sanity for can also be used as an offering. I mean, I never use Kuzuti, so maybe I'll just offer this. And then upgrade something. Health maybe? Oh!
Or Silent Hill.
Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you so much for the 28 months. Thank you, thank you. More Silent Hill. Yeah, I'm trying to play more before I go to Japan next week. Trying to play. I don't think I can finish it though. I don't think I can finish, but I hope you're doing well, Pataku. Thank you so much for the 20 months. I appreciate it. Health, yeah. More health. Oh yeah, more health. Doesn't mean less dying though. That doesn't correlate. I'll probably still die just as much. Okay, nice. So that restored all my health. I wish I could play horror games normally, but I can and do jump and hurt myself. True. I don't hurt myself much physically, other than maybe my heart. Especially when I play Cry of Fear, my heart takes the damage most of the time. I wonder... Okay, so I wonder what is out there. I just need to know what I need to pick up. So I was out here. Wait, how can I get back there? There seems to be another hall down there? What's it? Oh, okay. Is there... No. Maybe there was a hall inside that I didn't see? I remember that one time when Resident Evil... What was it? Oh, it was like any Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 4 Remake and then Resident Evil... 8. And people would put in mods where like the facial expressions would be like maxed out. So every time they talk, they look so funky. Because their mouth will like stretch all the way and their whole face gets deformed. Well, I don't know if it's silly or if it's scary. But maybe both. Oh, I didn't even see this. Okay. I don't want to use a sledgehammer right now. This is probably important. Eh, 怖い. I'm trying to plan a trip with the boys to Japan soon. That sounds fun. Ooh, you should go. It is fun. It's pretty crowded right now, but it's always a good experience. I always recommend like going to the big cities first, like Tokyo and Kyoto and Osaka, and then if you ever go again, you should try somewhere that's more like less popular. You know, like Kyushu or like Hokkaido or something to get a more chill experience. Most of what happens is my back left neck pulls itself. No. Oh, I need a key here too. Oh my gosh, how many keys do I need? I get that though. Sometimes the jump scare just really hits different, you know. I don't even remember. There's this room and then there's this room that I can't get in. Majika, I might be outside for real. I might have to go back to the window. Where's the window? Oh, it's like right next to me. What's this though? Where am I now? Hmm? Oh, okay. Maybe there's something over here? What the heck? Why you gotta shout like that, Principal? Gotta be quiet. Shh. Okay, can't go that way. もうお化け出んのかな? 今変な音したけど。You should do that as a redeem for your model. It can be both silly, scary is the best in my... Yeah. Silly, scary is the best. Don't I look silly scary already? I don't know what that was. That's so scary. Oh my gosh, okay. So I can't go in here. Well, hide now. No, it's just blocked. Okay. Is there anything I missed in one of these cubbies, maybe? A code or something? Maybe I do have to run around outside. There's so many enemies though. なんか傘立てとか入ってないよね。Definitely want to visit all the cities there. Yeah. You should. This time I'm only going to Tokyo though. That's all I'm going. Nothing special. Just gonna be eating grandma's food. Grandma's food every day for 2 weeks and get fat and then come home. I really don't want to go out there. It's so hard. Let me see. Is there anywhere that might have an item that I should go to? There seems to be a gate down here, but I bet it'll be locked. Hi, Seraphine! Welcome, welcome! How are you? How are you? How's your week going? Weekend. Yeah, weekend going. I thought it's Friday for a second. I wish it was Friday. I hear planes in the game? I didn't hear anything. My ears are kind of messed up. Grandma's food is always the best food. It is. It is the best food. I don't want to make her cook every day though, so it won't be every day most likely, but still, it's so yummy. Yeah, there's so many enemies in this courtyard that I just panic. I just panic immediately and I don't know where to go or what to do. Oh my gosh. Let's run forever, I guess. Screen tear. Okay, so there's stairs here. There's a little shack here. Oh, this is where you like take care of like the animals and stuff. Sakuko always left her hairpins here. Oh, nice, nice. Kakashi origami are rumors. Who's throwing pillows at me? Who's throwing pillows at me, huh? Origami are rumors. I've always despised her. She goes around pretending like she doesn't want to be a girl when she knows full well that she's so much cuter than everyone else. She makes me sick. Are they talking about Hinako? Well, that's no good. Who wrote this? I remember Rinko folding up origami all the time. I don't know what was on them, but I saw her writing down things during class and folding paper into foxes on multiple occasions. She keeps writing her complaints on pieces of paper, but instead of burning them, she just decides to throw them in the void and let them accumulate. I think that maybe one day all of those grievances will pile up and suffocate her. Jeez. Jeez. Fogtown. There's a new entry for Fogtown. Outside? Outside? It's because your ears are pointed at the ground ceiling. Yeah, I gotta point to the ground so I can hear the little moles scuttling around inside the dirt. That's why they're pointed down. Also, so I can't hear the haters, but you know. Also, hi Natsu. Welcome, man. My weekend was good. Gotta work tomorrow. Early day, but at least it's a work at home job. So nice. Switch places with me, Seraphine. I want a work from home job too. Well, my job's not too bad. I have to go in office for like an hour-ish, but there's been rumors going around that they're gonna start enforcing longer hours in the office, so I hope not. Work from home is so nice though. Just fight them, fruit. There's too many, Natsu. There's too many. You fight them. You do it. There's too many monsters. Oh, look, it's the Pregnant Ant one. A particularly suspicious monster that walks around on all fours. The greedily staring eyes, the greasy palms, the disgusting way it acts all chummy with me. What does that mean? Oh, like trying to hug her? Oh, yeah. All of it is completely repulsive. What's more, it never even bothers with guys. Typical. Ew. So it only attacks girls? Can I just dress up as a guy? Can I just, you know, cosplay Krauser instead? Maybe they won't attack me. Military jets go by my house at random times. Okay. Are they loud? I've heard military jets are really loud. A face, 2 faces, 3 faces, 4. A monster with a thronging mass of faces. I'm not familiar with any of the faces yet. They seem to know me. It spells repulsive things one after the other, violating the peace and quiet of wherever it goes. Ooh, that is pretty creepy. And then new entry about Rinko. Rinko is always asking whether Shu and I are an item. I tell her every time we're not, but she never seems to buy it. I heard a rumor that Rinko was gossiping about me behind my back. Wow. I wanted to elbow her off a cliff. Just like she pushed me down the stairs. I suppose love can tear apart even the closest of friends. I don't know what to do. Girl, don't worry about Rinko. Rinko's being a petty biatch. Don't worry about her. Just stay away from her when you're around the stairs. And all should be well. ね、これさ、開けたいんだけど。あった、happy! Open drawers. Okay, that's good. So I can go in and open one of the drawers. I miss working from home. It's so silly to make you go in for just an hour. Like at that point, just let people... I know. Well, it depends on the manager. My manager's just more chill. So she's like, yeah, just make sure you badge in once every day. But apparently they're going to start monitoring how long we're in the office. So we'll see. I will fight it for you, but this is your training arc. This is my Hunter x Hunter training arc. I'm gonna become the best hunter in the world. Or whatever it was. Okay, girl, can you just move a little bit faster than that? Okay, where's the... There's some stairs back there. I'm just gonna go open. Maybe that's all I need to do. Is just get that hairpin and then leave. Open that. I ran out of stamina. How is that possible? Girl, get in there. Get in. Yada, nanka mata henno obake ga iru kiga suru. Hora ne. Oh gosh. Oh no. Wait, where was the hairpin supposed to go? I don't remember. Ew, I know. Ew. I mean, not when the jets are at cruising speed. They're about as loud as lightning for me. Lightning is loud. But lightning is so loud. I just go in for like 3 hours per week. Per week? Dang, that's nice. So, could you just do it like one day, 3 hours, just going for 3 hours, and then you don't have to go in for the rest of the week? I was working from home too. It's such a waste of gas too to just drive there and then come back in an hour. Might as well just not come in. I don't remember where I'm supposed to pick the lock. Where was it? Was it in the teacher's room? Or was it in the locker room? It's not the locker room. It's probably this box. I think it's the box room over there. Of course, there's freaking Kakashi everywhere. Kakashi. I don't know if this is a Weeping Angel situation though. Okay, nice. Okay, main building, second floor. Oh my gosh, stair key. It seems to be possible to open the stairway door on the second floor of the school building. Okay, so now I can go to the second floor. Nice, I guess. The Kakashis don't attack you, right? Unless... Well, they're not even moving, so... Maybe I'm fine? It's probably all the monsters are probably upstairs. Eh, koko janai no? Okay, it's not here. Okay, maybe it was one of the other stairs. Ooh, meccha iru. Oh, there's so many. Okay, go up here. And then... Oh! I hear the pianoing. 音楽室. It's the ghost of the music room. There's a lot of like bleh! Angor, you don't gotta get so frustrated. You don't gotta get so frustrated and destroy the piano. Treat your instruments with respect. Oh my gosh, another key? Maybe there's like a master key that opens everything. Maji, that's 2 more keys I have to find. Okay, auto-saved for some reason. Bro cannot play the piano, but you don't have to be so mad. Yeah, it's okay. It's like one thing to be like mad and then one thing to like just not be able to play the piano. Okay, toolkit. I never used the toolkit though. Final exam, 4th place. Asakura Ayumi, freshman, class 1. 479 points. 479. Maybe that's just important later. Try to remember that, everyone. 479. 479. You just hit the E from Rush E. Gotta hit it with... Just give it your all. What? Obakeru? No obake? Ah!
Nani?
No! I got locked in. I don't like it. I sat here and behind me was Rinko. She used to give me the right answers. Cheating bad. Unopened envelope. Thank you, everyone. Wait, there's a one random... Wait, stop typing in random numbers, no! Which one was it? 479 489 493 941. Oh my gosh, we're doomed, guys. Guys, we're doomed. You have doomed me. No. Hinako isn't coming. I'm sorry for lying to you, but I thought that I needed to get you alone to find out how you truly feel. Look into your heart and try opening this box with your true feelings. The heck? Is this Dinko's letter to Shu? Do you remember the day when just the 2 of us went to that cafe? We talked about how it felt like we were delinquents since we were supposed to be going to school that day. But you know what? I didn't care what the other people thought about us because as long as I could spend time with you, that was all I needed. We both ordered the same cake that day. I can still remember how my heart almost burst out of my chest in the moment the same words flowed from those lips. Oh god, girl. Okay, calm down, girl. Calm down. The sweet and tart fruit on the cake. The taste still lingers in my mouth like it was yesterday. Do you still remember the taste too? It feels like Nico is like... She's like the Lulu. She's like the Lulu. Maybe Shu doesn't like Rinko. I mean, I don't think Shu likes Rinko. I don't think. But she's like, oh, you came out with me to eat some cake. Maybe Shu just really wanted cake that day, you know? Like, maybe he just really wanted some fruit cake. So he just decided to go with you. Because he can't make Hinako ditch class and get in trouble because he loves her. Omoikaru. She should just disappear. I hope someone kills her. Oh, okay. You don't gotta go that far. Or abduct her. I mean, I did get abducted in a way. I got a kamikakushi going on. The gods took me. I don't care. Just whatever gets Hinako out of my life once and for all. Dude, is it really that bad? Is it really that bad? I mean, I had something similar happen like a long time ago in school. I think I was like friends with some girl and this girl liked this guy in the class. But I don't know if the guy liked me, but it was more like he was more interested in me than he was in the other girl. So she was like very upset. So, but I'm like, what am I supposed to do? You know, there's nothing I can do about that. Why are you upset about it? Our true feelings, I know. Like, what do you mean? My true feeling is that I like cake. And I came out to get cake. End of story. Soppy is the word I will use to describe this. Soppy? Soapy? Soppage? Soppy pill. Hi, Onigiri, welcome in. How's it going? It's going good. Just wanting to squeeze in some gaming time. True Sahir's still the best partner, right? I hope so. I hope you're doing well, Nigiri. Good to see you again. I just playing. Just solving some puzzles. I hope she learned her lesson. She hasn't learned it yet. She's still chilling downstairs with Shu while I go out and like bonk monsters in the head. Cheese cack. Yeah, I like cheese cack too. Cheese cack is delish. あ、ここにも本がある。え？あ、puzzle? Is this Jenga? え、なんだこれ? A radish? A 大根? かぼちゃ? A potato? Not potato. Pumpkin? Some kind of flower. And cherries? さくらんぼ？さくらんぼなのかな?
間違えたか。
This isn't right. Okay. Okay, I don't have any clues on what to do about this. Maybe there's clues around the room? I'm good, just been busy with life in college. Yeah, I feel that. School is important. Gotta focus on the studies. But I hope you're also getting some rest, Onigiri. Gotta rest when you can. なんか変な音さ。I keep hearing sounds from the window. Is it still locked? I guess it is. Maybe this is like a I have to guess moment. Maybe I gotta guess. I don't see any clues. 反応なしか。Okay. What about this one? Nothing? Something must be off. Do I have to open all of them? No. Uh-oh. This might be kind of tricky. I can't believe the puzzle that I chose the puzzle level to be like, I think normal level. I know the default is actually hard level. But I'm already struggling as it is. There's no way I can solve the hard level ones. Maybe there is something in my journal. Oh, there it is. Hinako isn't coming. Da da da. Oh, okay. These are the clues. Stairwell. To the vice principal, please do not lock the key at the second floor. Okay, okay. Circle left a hairpin. Yeah, I already did this one. The sweet and tart fruit on the cake. That one's highlighted, so maybe it's something to do with the cake. Sweet and tart fruit. Like this one, right? The cherry? これ?
なんか違うな。
Okay, so that's the cherry. This is some flour. A pumpkin. And a radish. I mean, maybe a flower? Huh? Huh. The girl who was jealous... I learned... Oh, the girl that was jealous of me. I don't know what happened to her. I'm not sure if she ever learned anything. I hope she's still not like that. Yeah, I hope not. Yeah. I hope she's not like that anymore. You can't get mad at the other girl. It's not like I was trying to take the guy from her. The guy just happened to talk to me more than he did with her. What am I supposed to do about that? I can't be like, stop talking to me. Go talk to her instead, you know? Like, okay, I'll still respond to you and talk to you. Yum, 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 yum. So, yeah, Nico somewhat reminds me of that experience. Definitely am getting my rest in. Nice. That's good, that's good. Gotta treat yourself too sometime. Get some yummy cake or something. Something yummy. Maybe some yummy onigiri. Okay. これ? かぼちゃじゃない。大根じゃないよね。Well, they say sweet and tart, so it must be that. She gave me the right answers. Did I miss a clue somewhere? Maybe I have to look at each desk. Sweet and tart. Why is this so hard? The door still doesn't open, right? I keep looking at something. Maybe I don't. Huh. 難しいよ. Maybe I'm just dumb. The two of us, blah blah blah, we talked. Didn't care. Same cake, words flowed from your lips. Sweet and tart fruit on the cake. Feel na. Desk drawer, hairpin. That one has nothing to do with it. Man, I don't know. Does anyone have like a idea of what they're talking about? Maybe I have to select it. No. Maybe another button? Maybe just keep keep sliding. I can rotate it. Squares roll. Oh, okay. Maybe I just have to find all the sweet and tart fruits. Just checking the other ones in case. Sushi! There's a sushi one. なるほどね. Okay, okay. So, いちご。これとこれ? Oh, I did it. Yes. Unopened envelope. So you did remember. Well, that makes me feel very special. By the way, are you over Hinako now? I apologize if I sound blunt, but I want to make it clear. That girl is dead. Why? But why am I dead? I know you're going through a rough time right now, but you must be in so much pain. But you know I can be there for you. Would you rather go through it yourself still? Oh my gosh, Rinko, that is not how you raise up a boy. That's not how you do it, Rinko. Somebody elbow her off a cliff, please. That's not how you raise up a boy who just lost the girl he loves. This ain't it. This ain't it. This is like the fastest way to get him to hate you, actually. Painfully desperate it is. I can picture us slowly unfolding the pages of our hearts. Ew! Talking about all the small mundane details of our day-to-day lives. Bleh, blah, blah, blah. By filling up one journal after another with our thoughts, I know we can make a fresh start. A blank page upon which we can write the new story for our lives. Surely you can see it too. Bleh. How about no thank you? How about no thanks? Man, that's yandere energy, I know. Like, okay, even if she succeeds and gets Shu to like date her and then like marry her or whatever the heck, this like whole thing will always be like a big fog or big cloud just lingering above the two of them. And Shu will never forget Hinako, right? And Rinko will always be like jealous until the end of her days. And she'll always be like, Shu, would you love me if I was a worm? You know? Like every single day. It's just not gonna work. I want her to have someone she doesn't like read a letter like this to her to hope it clicks in her head how cringe it is. I know. I want to bring it up to her and read it out loud. It just sounds desperate. You gotta give him space. You gotta give him some space, you know? Okay, filling up one journal. Okay, so next clue is journal. So something related to journaling? What is that, a rock? Okay, that's a book. That's probably it. Wait, is that also a journal? Maybe it's 2 this time? Okay, that's something. Oh, Anonymous! Thank you so much for the gifted subs. Oh my god. Thank you so much. Thank you for gifting to Whoa, and Sapphire and Karma and Fatal Hermit. And also Skelemans. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well, Anonymous Giga Chad 07, Anonymous Giga Chad. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the 5 gifted. I know, yippee. Thank you so much. Arigato. Okay, wait, that's wrong. Anything related to journaling, I guess? Huh. Okay, maybe they just want books. Okay, nice. Oh my gosh, so more letters. More letters. No. I'm glad to hear that you're trying to stay positive. And remember, I'll always be here for you if you need anything. You know, you're not the only one who's sad because Hinako's no longer with us. If the two of us could huddle together, we could soothe this pain that bites like the cold of winter. And then surely spring will arrive, welcoming us with sakura in full bloom to celebrate our union. Ugh, our union? Can you picture the beautifully blooming sakura awaiting us? Girl, what the heck? Girl, what the heck? I'm like... 本当にちょっと今引いてる。あまりにももう必死すぎてなんかちょっと引くわ逆に。I know she wants to... Ew, Obi! Obi, ew! Don't say that! Hi Shane, welcome in! I'm doing good. Just trying to get as far as I can in Silent Hill before I go to Japan next week. How are you? I hope you're doing well, Shane. I almost called you Shu, oh my god. It started with the same thing though, the SH, you know, this SH. Okay, so this time it was Sakura, I think. I have to look for Sakura. That's not Sakura, right? No. No, that's a clover. No. Sakurambo? That's Sakura. Okay, this time was just one. Doing good, glad I'm able to catch a stream. It's been a hot minute. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I usually don't stream on Sundays. Today is like a special day. Special quick stream day. Yeah, I'm glad you were able to catch it. I hope you've been doing well. Oh god, guys, it gets more desperate with each level. Dear Shu, I like you. I love you. I always have and I always will. I'll be waiting to hear what you think about me. AKA, there's only one right answer. You better get it right. Why does it sound like a threat almost? Oh, there. Okay, second floor, classroom, generic. Okay, so the master key. Nice. So, Shu hasn't read this letter. Oh my gosh, look at the board now. Ai ga saって言うんだっけ? なんて言うんだっけ? I don't know if you've ever seen this in like anime or anything, but people do this when you ship two people or when you ship yourself with someone else. You draw a little umbrella and then you draw your name or one person's name on one side and the other person's name on the other side. I'm assuming this one here is my name. Hinako is like scratched out. これ自分の名前だよね、Hinako. めちゃくちゃバツ書かれてるけど。リンコとシュウ、うわー。逆に怖いわ。It's scary.
ひなこはお友達といつまでも一緒にいたい。
お
姉ちゃん、どこ？お友達は永遠じゃないのよ。彼らだっていつか必ずあなたを裏切る。あなたが裏切り者と呼ばれたように。姉ちゃん。天秤にかける価値があるかどうか。しっかりと判断しなさい。
Whoa, it's scary all of a sudden. Oz, thank you so much for the gifted subs. Thank you.
それってどういう？
Okay, I'm in a cutscene right now. Thank you so much. That was kind of cool. That sequence was really cool. But thank you! My gosh! The 5 gifted subs, you didn't have to. Thank you so much. Thank you for gifting to Brownist and Broccoli Flowers. Oh, Shane got one too. Nice! And Nyx and Tipania, thank you so much. I hope you're doing well, us. Yeah, more Silent Hill. I don't have... Oh, Sam, thank you so much for the 100 biddies. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Tippa mentioned. Yeah, Tippa was gifted a sub. Thank you, Sam, for the 100 biddies. Thank you. Oh my gosh. There's so much gifted subs. Thank you. You're doing nice. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I hope you're doing well, Us, by the way. Fighting. ありがとう。嬉しい。I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Explore the school second floor. Okay, got that. Okay, so we got this and this and... Okay, so that's already done. Is there something else somewhere? Oh yeah, there is more lore. Okay. Mama, yeah, thank you. Okay, middle school. Oh my gosh, I missed a lot. Okay, a world that's not a playground like elementary school, but not as mature as high school. Middle school to me was like the stage between a tadpole and a frog. I guess you could say it's a period of grotesque transformations. Ugh. Yeah, I guess so. Up until elementary school, Shu and I would have water fights, and we wouldn't mind if our underwear showed. Yeah, it's before puberty hit, I guess. Once we enter middle school, though, while we might not have paid any mind to things like that, others around us did. It just felt like our world had changed in a snap. True. Puberty is real, guys. It's a real thing. Boys and girls used to think of one another as mortal enemies, always bickering and fighting each other, but now it suddenly turned into such a weird dynamic where we have to treat each other in a completely different way. It's fine for people who want to do that because the people around them are doing the same. But for people like me, who really couldn't care less about what people think, that's not the case. I mean, I'm more for Hinako's way of thinking. Like, I get that there's like a change at a certain point and you like, なんていうの、日本語だと意識するって言うけど、you start like thinking of the other person in a different way. But you could still be friends. A train, I know, level 3 hype train, crazy. Choo-choo. Meow. I don't know, actually, I know it's ad break right now. I don't think I'll go on ad break just because I'm a little crunch on time. So I think today I'll just keep playing during ad break. I'm sorry for anyone who's stuck in ad jail. I usually stop when there's an ad break, but... Okay, origami of grievances. There's a custom... Okay, I already read this one. Okay, Sakako says that if you put something as abstract as your feelings into words, even as a complaint, that'll be enough to put your heart to rest. When you're feeling down, it's like having clothes scattered around your room, and when you write it into words, it's like you're folding them into nice and neat piles. That's a good way to put it. It's basically like organizing your feelings and folding them away to put them to rest with Inari-sama. This is apparently the real magic behind the origami of grievances. True. Sometimes it's good to write it out on paper. I used to do journaling too one time. And it kind of helped me, like, it just helps you organize your thoughts and what you're feeling sometimes. Okay, so Mamori na. Okay, so now I have the keys to, like, every room on the second floor. Okay, so this is to get to the other side. Okay. Feels like there'll be monsters. Yeah, what the heck though? The red stuff is in here now. There was some rooms, right, that had a lock on it? Oh, this one. Nice. Oh gosh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Wait, I got a hype test. Share. What is that? Thank you for the hype train. I still journal because I write down my dreams every night. Ooh, wait, that's kind of interesting to like write your dreams. Sometimes dreams can mean things. Dreams are like you trying to process your feelings and what you experienced during the day, but through a dream. I agree, romantic feels don't have to mean the end of the friends despite what peeps will say. True. I agree. As long as you can both handle it like an adult and just like move on from it, I think it's perfectly fine. Choo. It pooped? It pooped or popped? Oh, it did poop. I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, I see a blue thing and then I see another blue thing. Nice. That's so silly. You got some loot. Got any keys? I could do with some keys. Obento. Obentoが置いてある。あ、これは? Oh, old annex main gate key. The key to the old annex behind the school can be used to open the hall doors. Okay, that must be the other place then. The little corridor. Note to teacher. Ayumi from the track and field club said she found the key with key box written on it during practice. If she still hasn't got it back to you, then she probably left it in her locker when she went to change. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if she forgot. She looked exhausted after practice. Okay, so there's... Open the locker in the locker room. Hi, Dragon! Welcome in, welcome in! How are you? Spotted time for hugs, thank you! Also, hi, Squiddy! Welcome in, Squiddy! How are you? Most of my dreams are made into a manga idea. That's a good way to... to put your dreams to good use, yeah. You got any interesting ones so far that you put into a manga? Ah, wait, Asuka. I forgot about these guys. Whoa, who's that? Wait, which way am I supposed to go? That way? Can I just go this way? Ah, nanka ochiteru. Oh gosh, there's so many all of a sudden. Please. Is there a pill at the foot of every person here? Is this girl right? Ayumi. So maybe her code is 479. Maybe it's 479. Dude, is it so creepy that each scarecrow has a kusuri? Ah! Go away, go away. Uwa! Ah! ちょっと待って。ちょっと待って、ちょっと待って。I can't possibly fight them all. Come on. Oh my gosh, they know how to climb stairs. Where's the locker room? Okay, it's down this hall. Abune. Oh yeah, there's the annex hall too. I gotta get up there. And... But all these doors are still locked, right? Oh shit, I can't go this way anymore. It must be in the annex then. If anime has taught me anything, you should ask the student council president for help. 委員長に聞いた方がいいね、確かに。You should ask the class president. I want to go save though, so I actually might go save real quick. Just because I progressed a little bit. Made some progress. Okay. Probably here. Good. How fruity cutie? I'm good too. I am good. I had a migraine earlier today because I slept too much. Oh gosh, I slept like 12 hours. But now it's better. I took some medicine. 749, stop, Sapphire, stop. We're all gonna get confused. I just woke up from an evening nap. I really needed that. Nice. Sometimes that evening nap just hits a little different, you know. Dude, that is creepy. That is so creepy. Okay, nice. Yada. Quiet. I request hugs. Hugs, Dragon King, hugs. Super Omega Cutie, pass it on, thank you. No, Dragon's a cutie. Y'all are cuties. Don't lie to me. Y'all are cuties. Ugh, where am I? Okay, there's only 2 doors. Any arare? Okay, arare is good. She kind of looks in the direction of loot, which is nice. No between lovers. Miki, I have absolutely no idea how that crazy formula spells aishiteru, but I love you too. Aww. This is like a... What formula is? Is it like a confession between nerds? It's a nerdy confession? That's cute. It seems that making secret codes with numbers and symbols is all the craze these days. Oh shoot, there's math, guys. Run! There's math on this paper. What spells aishiteru? Aishiteru. Guys, okay, quick math. What is 4,151 plus 3 the root of 6? 3 times 3 the root of 6, or is that the cubic root of 6? That doesn't make any sense. You can't do a cubic root of 6. Alright, what's the math? We need a math whiz in here. Superman, cutie president. I know you're a cutie, Squiddy. Stop it, stop it. I love trying to sleep while watching horror. Sometimes it can be comforting though. Thank you for the water dragon, thank you. Sometimes horror can give you like a weird sense of comfort. For me, horror games are always the comfort game. Especially the Backrooms. Which might sound weird, but... So if you're a pro mega kawaii cutie passer, thank you, us. You're a cutie, us. オスが可愛いよ。もう、そんなことないよ。Square root of 6 is irrational. Therefore, love is irrational. Wait, how do you do this math? Are you okay with math, Sapphire? How do you spell aishiteru but in numbers? Aish. I think this isn't the code to one of the boys' room locker, right? That's gonna be a little interesting. I do not know how to do the math for that. These little red things are so pretty. I don't even know what they are. They're just like red leaves. They're not even spider lilies. They're just red leaves. Oh gosh. This room is doomed. Maybe another note on the table? I'm a little scared. Let me try to loot first. Oh, okay. Wait, we got a cryptic note. This might help. To be honest, I don't know what they mean. It's okay. I think we got a note, maybe. Okay, key is times 3x. C is 533. If you want to do keiko, do times 31 times 0. See, it's so easy. All I did was switch out the letters. Oh, this is like a ango. It's like a code. Wait, keiko, key is... So K is the star. E is 3. Y is X. Oh my gosh, guys. Can't you just communicate normally? Use English or hiragana, please. C, okay, S is 5 and E is 3. Okay. Keiko. なるほど。愛してる. Maybe the 愛してる can be decoded slightly. At least the E can be decoded. なるほどね。なるほどね。Okay. Okay, so there's the clue now. But there isn't enough letters. There's enough the code for E and S. E and S, but that's all I got. Where's the rest of the letters? Oh nice, locker room key. Open close the school locker room. Asakura's textbook. I'm a mermaid. The sea is calling out to me. I can't believe this school doesn't even have a pool. The sea, the best thing in the world. It's so lovely. It's now my locker combination. Naruhodo ne. So now I can use this to open the locker downstairs. The sea. So C. S-E-A is her locker combination. Wait, yeah, I forgot this is a middle school. I guess so. I guess it's a little childish, but it's fun. More, I never used them, so they were useless and forgot them. Yeah, I mean, who has to do a square root of 6, right? That's too hard. Or a cubic root. If I'm stuck in a horror situation, there's a door with a puzzle code on it. I'm using a fire axe on that nonsense. True. Why? I don't got time to be pondering over the code. I just gotta axe that door down. Agreed. Don't got time. Erica's first tip, ultimate smiles. Ultimate smiles? Is that good enough? Do you like my chompers? Is that a good smile? Square root of 6 is a cow? I believe you. I believe you, Sarah. I believe it. I don't even want to think about square roots and math and derivatives and math stuff. Okay, how I wish I could just climb inside his locker and drown in his smell. Same. But Krauser's locker specifically. I gotta read. Right when I say that too. I hope nobody heard that. Oh my gosh. Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. Wheat awamugi. That's so cute. Kawaii. Awamugi. Hi. Welcome in, Raiders. My name is Fruit. I am a fruit entity of the Backrooms. Welcome to my Infinite Gardens. Welcome. And thank you, Bellows Jams, for the follow. Welcome to the Infinite Gardens. Thank you. Oh, you were also playing Silent Hill F. Hello. Yeah, I remember Wheat too. I was like, wait, I know this person. I remember Wheat. I remember Wheat. Hello. Thank you for the raid. How was Silent Hill F? Did you finish it? How far did you get? I hope this isn't spoilers for anyone, but yeah, hello, konnichiwa. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Wheat bread delivery. That is so cute. パン食べたい。今冷蔵庫にパンが入ってるんだよね。食べたいな。But hello, Auntie These and Bellows and Wheat. Hello. When you jumped into the screen, I jumped and face planted. You mean this? You mean this? You face planted because my smile it's just a killer smile. With my killer chompers. But welcome! I finished the game in all episodes. Today we got to UFO ending. There's a UFO ending to this game? I know people do like second runs, right? You get like a different ending on your second run. What? UFO ending? Man, now I want to play. Now I want to play again. Wow. Wasn't there a UFO ending for Silent Hill 4 too? I know Silent Hill 4 also has like a second secret ending if you go back and play it. Or sorry, Silent Hill 2. Sorry, not Silent Hill 4. I'm confused. I don't know. Don't listen to me. But thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate it. If you need to go raid and run, I understand. I hope you get some rest. Eat some yummy bread, maybe. UFO is an extra fun ending. Wow. Is it like a silly ending? Is it like silly? Without spoilers? Or is it like a serious ending? Because UFO sounds silly. It sounds like you'll just get kidnapped by a UFO and that's the end of the story. It's giving Dan Da Dan vibes. But thank you, Wheat. I appreciate it. Thank you. What if Fruit is an alien? I could be. Maybe all entities of the Backrooms are aliens. Maybe that's where we came from. Maybe the Backrooms is outer space. It is silly? Oh my gosh, I want to do it. Does it, like, is it as long as the first run? Or do you get to do, like, a shortcut? Because it's a little bit daunting thinking that I have to go back and play it again from the start. But maybe it's worth it. I'm still at the middle school section, and this is my first playthrough, so... Yeah. I'm trying to get through as much as I can because I'm going to Japan next week! And I'll be gone for 3 weeks, so... Trying to get as far as I can before I leave. Greg Tech doesn't even need square root of anything for the tech stuff. Greg Tech is a really hard mod for Minecraft. It's the smart person behind Minecraft. And even they don't need to use square roots. Useless. Also, hello To-chan. Hello. Konnichiwa. But yeah, I think that was it. Did I miss any other chat messages? Believe me, I was a minor in math. Yeah, I remember you telling me that you minored in math. That is crazy. That is crazy. I can't even imagine doing a minor in math. It's short to get to the UFO ending. You don't need to go through the whole playthrough. Oh, okay, that's good. Maybe I will do it a second time then, just so I can get the silliness. The Silent Hill silliness. Okay, okay, that's good to know. That makes me want to do it more. Yeah. Okay, how do I know to climb the locker and drown in his smell? Oh yeah, that's right. And I was talking about how I want to go in Jack Krauser's locker and drown in his smell, but let's not talk about that. I can't believe his combination is the same as his name. Aoi. Oh, that's the other guy's locker. That's so cute of him using his name and code. Very cute. Very quirky, yes. Aoi. Okay. AOI. So I got both codes for the lockers downstairs, so that's good. Chocolate. Restores health current max sanity. Max sanity sanity will not be consumed when using focus for a set time can be used. I really like using this as an offering, so I think I'll swap it out with the toolbox. Oh, also I'm playing this on story mode, and puzzles are normal difficulty, I think. So, yeah. I'm still struggling though. Even normal is hard. Okay, so now I can go downstairs. Or go to the locker. And open the locker. They can't do this! They're pulling a cry of fear on me, please! You can't possibly do that. Are you serious? I can't believe the Silent Hill devs pulled a freaking cry of fear. You can't do that. Okay, there is a locker in here. Maybe if I get out of their line of sight, I can do this. Okay, Aoi ne, Aoi. Wait, have you played Cry of Fear before? Wait, it's a really scary game, and I'm also playing that on the side too. Right now I'm playing Silent Hill, but I was playing that before Silent Hill came out. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. All the jump scares are like that one that I just encountered. Every jump scare. Oh my gosh. Oh, reiterate. Welcome in, Otako. Otako-tan. Kawaii, namae kawaii. Otako-tan. Oh gosh. Let's not talk about that. Yeah, let's not talk about Krauser's locker and his smell. First up, what is the time? It is 10:30. It is 10:30 at night. Okay. Aoi だな。Aoi. でも A がわかんない。O is just 0, I guess. So the second letter is 0. I mean, the second code is 0. A? What is A? They don't even have A. Okay, O-I? Is there I? There's no I either. Drowning in his smell. I couldn't have come to the... Yeah. There's not enough code. There's only enough for like one of them. Am I missing something? Am I missing a clue somewhere? Ow. Ow. Cry of Fear. Silent Hill っぽくてとてもいいゲームね。とてもいいゲーム。とてもいいけどめちゃくちゃ怖い。It's a good game, but so scary. Oh my gosh. Cry of Fear. I thought Cry of Fear toughened me up a little bit, but it's been a while. It's been a few weeks since I played, so now I'm all weak again, getting jump scared by that. Gosh. Fruit screams have easily become top tier content as of late. Ever since I started playing Cry of Fear, every stream involves a lot of screaming. Aishi and Aishiteru is 4151. Oh, really? Oh, is that what that number is on the right side? Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so... Aishiteru. Aishi. そうなんだ。もう4151。なるほどね。Okay, so the first letter will be 4. 401? 401? 401. うわ、来た来た来た来た来た来た来た。やべえ、来た来た来た来た来た来た来た来た来た。あー、やばい。ちょっと待ってちょっと待って。Oh my gosh. I'm out of stamina. Oh my gosh, you guys. Jushimatsu, hello. Welcome, welcome. Oh my god. A is for... Yeah, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, that is so scary. Jushimatsu, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Infinite Gardens. Backrooms, yokoso. Dude, that was so scary. I was like doing the code and I just hear the little... and it coming to get me. Oh my gosh. Why? Why? どうしよう。どれか捨てなきゃいけない。どうしよう。いや、置いとくか。とりあえず置いとこう。Dude, Okay, got next letter. Oh my god. やったー、やったー。でも、I've heard the kitchen knife is really good, so I'm glad I used the kitchen knife. 包丁が一番効果的らしい。でもすぐ壊れるって聞いたことある。Origami grievances. I happened to find out Suga's locker combination. The weird thing is, when you convert it to code, it looks like a cry for help. Like SOS? Is it maybe 505? What am I supposed to do? It's not like I can do anything. I'm guessing it's 505. SOS? Cry of help? なんか聞こえる. It's outside. Please. Please. Oh, he's right there. No. Ooh, もうやだ。ほんとやだ、もう。どうしよう。This guy doesn't move if you're staring at him, though. Ooh. Okay. About 3 hits with the knife. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, あられにしよっかな。あられ。あ、間違えた。ああ。That's not too bad. I can get the first aid kit later. Okay. なんかもう嫌な音する。Okay, there should be another locker room here. Dude, I hear them coming down the stairs. Cry of Fear's sequel, Cry of Help. They should actually do that. いらない、ラムネいらない。Okay, this is Ayumi's, which was C, right? So C is S. 5? Okay, 5, 3, 5, 3, 4. 5, 3, 4. 5, 3. Okay, nice. Okay, key cabinet key, nice. Might open the key cabinet in the school. Good. And this is Suga, so it's probably 505. If I'm not mistaken. Aha! Waha! Wahaha! Oh, I got a school bag. My school bag is a bit worn out for some reason, but it's fine for carrying small things. Yes! Increases inventory capacity. Yes! Oh my gosh. This is gonna help so much. No! It's just one slot. One slot, guys. That doesn't help at all. One more slot. Yay! Yay! Oh my gosh. I see Hinako also had to run around for gym class. We were just talking about that last night. Oh yeah. During our community night yesterday on Phasmophobia, we were at the gym section and we were talking about gym activities. And the Waposa was there. Waposa was so confused because we were talking about like the parachutes, like the parachute stuff in gym class where you hold the edge of the parachute and you flap it around. And he was so confused. Waposa's like, "You guys do parachutes in school? What the heck? What kind of rich school did you go to?" Because he thought like we actually jumped out of planes. What about a plane with a parachute? Like parachute training. That was so funny. こんばんは、Jackson. こんばんは。来てくれてありがとう。How are you, Jackson? How are you? Fun fact. First step fun fact. Fun fact about me. I don't know what a fun fact about me would be. I have double jointed thumbs. Okay. That's the fun fact of the day. Plus one inventory should like a whole bag's worth. I know. I thought I'm gonna get like at least 5 more spots. I thought at least 5 more. What the heck? But I just get 1 more, I guess. It's a tiny bag. It's a small bag. ね、小さいカバンなんだね、多分。1個しか増えないのちょっと悲しい。せめて3つぐらい増えると思ってたのに、1個はちょっとね。by so much. I know. Yes, no. 頑張ってありがとう、Jackson. Oh yes, I do play violin. That's a good one. That's a better one than double jointed thumbs. I play violin. I do. We'll pull up to your private academy to limousine before going to orchestra and parachute. Yeah, that's what Paposa probably thought, that I pull up in a limousine. I go to orchestra with my Stradivarius violin. And then attend my parachuting class after. That was so funny. The average strawberry has about 200 seats. Thank you, Us. That is also a good fun fact about me. About me? Now, why is my school bag here? Why does it only give me 1 extra space? Oh, there's more. Tsuchiya Taiko. Oh, I don't think we ever got a code for this person, right? Keiko かな? Keiko じゃないよね。なんて読むのこれ。Tsuchiya? Keiko って読むのかな? Maybe this is Keiko. But that's too long. 310? Maybe 310? I tried all of it, right? I tried the C, and then I tried the Aoi and the SOS. Maybe it's 310? I can try 310. Maybe this is Keiko. Oh, maybe, okay, maybe I run into it some other time and I have to come back for it. I bet it's a Omamori. 多分お守りが入ってんじゃないここ。だからちょっとね。It's extra work. I have to go find the code for that one specifically. Okay. So now I can open the little box in the teacher's room. Oh gosh. そう、向こうね。I should probably save too, but that's after the room, so... うわーちょっと待ってちょっと待ってちょっとI'm going out. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna take this outside. Oh my gosh, you're coming for me all the way out here. Are they still coming? Can I save before they fully come this way? Nice. Okay. Oh gosh. I guess it's Taiko? Yeah, I think it is Taiko, yeah. I don't know what the code is though. I gotta go look for the code. Okay, I saved. Maybe I can enshrine something? I can probably enshrine this. I don't use it. Yokan, chocolate mo irete. Okay, I think that's good. Oops. Save again. I'm curious, would you rather have a barbecue with everyone in chat or have a giant bag of Halloween candy? I would have a barbecue with everyone. That sounds more fun than stuffing my face with Halloween candy by myself. I need some words in Japanese to study. Anybody willing to give me some? Ooh. I'm not sure. Does anybody have one? Does anyone have one? Maybe you can teach how to say kawaii. Kawaii is scary. Kawaii. Otako-tan, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Infinite Gardens. Follow arigato. What unless the freaky creatures get a free swing, but that's just me, I know. I know. Let me see how much I need. Okay, I still need a lot. 1100. 1100 of that stuff. Did they retreat back? Maybe they did, or maybe they're right here. No, they actually despawned, I think. Nice. You're so cute. I gotta go, but I hope I catch another stream soon. Oh, thank you. Arigato. Yeah. It was nice meeting you, Otako-tan. I hope I see you again soon. Have a good day. Have a good night. Barbecue step. Barbecue step. Do Korean barbecue or Texan barbecue? So kawaii. Yeah, you got it, Jackson. Kawaii. Okay, I have to take a left and it's on the right. Hello. How do I get in here? Is there a way to get in? I gotta go in through there. Dude, do you see them twitching? Oh my gosh, girl. Please stop, please. Just don't mind me. I'm just gonna open this box now. Oh, nice. Oh, so many keys. Key to the back mountains. Yes. Big win. Big win. Oh, did they despawn? Yes! Okay, I guess I got the objective, so it despawned. だよね? だよね? もう来ないでね? Don't ever come back. Don't ever come back. Don't come. Please. No. Okay, let me go save again, since that was a milestone. KBBQ? Yeah, KBBQ is so good. I love KBBQ. Wait has so many cute emotes. I need to make more emotes. Maybe I'll make more emotes while I'm on my trip in Japan. That could be my little activity on my 14-hour flight to Tokyo. Make more emotes. Wait, why are you missing a sleeve? Yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't know. I got shoved down the stairs by Dinko, one of my girls, and then I woke up with no sleeves, so I don't really know, guys. They didn't despawn, they're just waiting outside the door. I hope not. Yeah, sounds smart. That might be a good way to spend the 14 hours. Draw, watch YouTube, and play Mario Kart in Animal Crossing. You got a capsule hotel or regular hotel? Oh, I'm staying at my grandma's house. おばあちゃんの家に泊まる. She's just wild like that, strong lady. Yeah, she's like, it's a little too hot. I'm gonna take off this sleeve. Just don't mind me.
ならさ、私と二人で新しい宇宙戦争を始めようよ。シュウ君が望むなら相棒の役でも
Ew, girl!
僕の女幹部の役でもいいんだよ。
Shove her off a cliff.
鍵見つけたぞ。
おかえり。面倒をかけたな。相棒も休めよ。俺たち先に休んだから。
休みなよ。私とシュウ君で寝ずの番をしててあげるから。
いや、私は本当に大丈夫。
ひなこ、休めよ。あとは俺たちが見張っておくから。
おやすみ、ひなこ。
Don't touch me! Go away! Am I gonna sleep and go back to Fox Boy's realm? That's what happens every time I fall asleep. I end up in the Fox Boy's house.
でもさ、シュウ君もああいうの好きでしょ。
ああいうのってどういうの？ああいうのって何？ Yeah, Yeah, I'll download some vids for sure, yeah. That's my ritual before I go. Shell of the past, what exactly have we learned? We learned that we need to shove Dinko off a cliff. My husband!
今度は私が君の魂を救い古き君の命を奪おう
Oh, it's him without a mask! Wait! Man, no! Ah! We almost got a face reveal, dang it! Oh man, we got a little bit of a face reveal going, guys. He's still hot. I trust him with all my heart, Oz. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. Wow! Oh, thank you for the photosynthesis, Giant. Thank you.
無理しなくていいまだ休んでいるといい
起きられます
Lap pillow. Hizamakura. Hizamakura. That's a word for you, Jackson.
清めの水が
Hizamakura.
少し強すぎたのかもしれない君は思った以上に繊細で敏感なようだ
I'm a delicate lady.
でもよく頑張ったね美奈子
He pat my head.
さあ先に進もう
He gave me a little pat on the hand. A little petty on my hand. Hizamakura. Yes, good job, Jackson. That is lap pillow. Hizamakura. Tochan, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Infinite Gardens. Foro arigato. Okay, how can you not love the fox guy? Everybody needs a fox guy in their life. I got the toggles on, yeah. Haven't brought it out since I don't know. Hauser? Oh, the screen's breaking. I was hoping I can save here, but I guess it didn't save. I was gonna wrap it up right now, but today's gonna be a shorter stream because I have work tomorrow. Maybe there's a save up ahead. But to be honest, the screen's broken, so maybe not. Yeah, the screen's broken. I think this is a good place to stop for today. And next time I start it up, I can just progress to this point in advance before I start the stream. It's not too bad. I think that's it for today. I think that's it. I'm sorry for the short stream. I just wanted to progress like a little bit more. Just a little bitty. A little bitty. Alright, let me see if I can get into just chatting. Okay, nice. But the chat's broken. Wonderful. The chat's broken. Fantastic. I'll just do this, I guess, to fill the space. I'll just fill the space for now. But yeah. Let me check again. Yeah, it's broken. Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming. Let me see. Which ones did I miss? Peppy Fox. Yeah. Fox Daddy. Fox Daddy's here. Mr. Inari, can you banish Dinko too, please? I know, right? He banished Sakuko. Maybe he can also banish Dinko. Stop getting in my way, Dinko. So the Fox's competition, well, I was needing a new scarf. Hey! Don't turn Mr. Fox! Don't turn Mr. Fox into your scarf. I know it gets cold in the winter, but please. His pelt is mine. It's mine to use. Please. As how you whittle the time on long flights like that, Fruit? Oh, yeah. Wait, the chat's back. Okay, you don't need to see my gigantic face anymore, jeez. Ask how you whittle the long time on flights. Yeah. I usually download a lot of videos on, like, YouTube. Like, Let's Plays and whatnot. And then I watch that. I play on my Nintendo Switch. I sleep. I eat. I eat a lot. I bring snacks. I bring my own snackies. And that's pretty much how I whittle the time. And then I twiddle my thumbs. And get a little nervous. And look at the people sitting around me. And then, yeah. Strong lady, yeah. Did she push us? Nah, I mean, she pushed us before. Not this time though, she put me to sleep. I trust the fox. Ikemen lap pillow. I know, that was Ikemen lap pillow. Dude, I don't even want to wake up. I'll just sleep forever. I'll just sleep forever so I can get lap pillow forever. Izamakura ne. Next step, kabedon. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they put a kabedon in here. I also noticed that it's a pretty big theme in this game so far. Like love. It's like one of the themes. Well, it's not love, but it's like... How do you describe it? It's not love, but like the romantic relation between a guy and a girl, or just between people, I guess. But not in the way that's you usually see, you know. Because Hinako's not really a damsel in distress. She's really strong. And there's the fox guy, and there's Shu. And then there's Shu and Dinkle, and... I don't know. Maybe it's about the complicated side of, like, love. Says kneeling? No, Google translates wrong. Hiza makura is Hiza is like knee, and then makura is pillow. So hiza makura is knee pillow or lap pillow. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you. Imagine tourists wanting to visit Ebisugaoka and not realizing it isn't real, except the devs did say it is based on Kanayama and Gifu. Yeah. Imagine them trying to look up Ebisugaoka and people are like, huh? Where? What? What place? Ebi? Shrimp? Where's that? But yeah, you could go to Kanayama if you want to. I mean, it's probably pretty countryside, like pretty lots of nature and whatnot, but... Stream was great. Glad you guys sneak 1 minute before your trip. Yeah, thank you, Opie. No, I'll still be streaming more this week. I have a collab on Wednesday. There might be another one, actually. And then I'll most likely be streaming on Thursday and Friday this week. Since Saturday, I have to, like, prep and, like, pack my stuff because I'm leaving on Sunday. Early morning Sunday. So, yeah. This week's stream will be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I guess. 3 days in a row. Hi, Dolly. It's good night, yeah. Mini stream for the mini on. Exactly, buddy, exactly. Yeah, thank you, Nikki, for coming. I hope good luck. I can't talk. Good luck on school and everything. I hope it goes well this week. Do your homework and study. And rest up as well. Talking about using pelts, I know, what the heck. Not a single thought behind those eyes. Never. Not a single thought ever. Just Jack Krauser. And mold. I should also ask how you deal with jet lag. Ending to Japan must be crazy with jet lag. It is. It's huge. There's usually like... Depending on where you go from, there's like a 13... There's like a... Maybe like a 15 to maybe like an 18-hour difference between NA and Japan. But usually when I go to Japan, what happens is... I wake up too early. My eyes get wide open around like 5 a.m. in the morning. Ish. Just because of the time difference. I think you just gotta take it easy the first few days. And then try to adjust your schedule. I know some crazy people adjust their schedules like before they go. Like before they go, they flip their schedule. So once they get there, they'll already be adjusted to the Japan time. And crazy, crazy, crazy people out there. Thank you for the rain message, Obey. Sending comfy vibes and a wonderful, restful eat. The loam loves its denizens, and we hope you enjoy this day forever. Thank you. Thank you for the raid message. I appreciate it. Let me find someone to raid into. Yeah, you're right. I gotta find someone. So is the guy main girl's BF or something? Shu? Shu is just a childhood friend. It seems like Shu has a crush on Hinako though, but Hinako, I'm not sure. It's very hard to tell right now. Fox Guy definitely has a crush on Hinako too. Wow, Hinako's so popular with the boys. How does she do it? How does she do it? She needs to drop a tutorial, a wiki how, on how to raise up so many boys. Thank you, Dragon. Dragon, you're cute. You're cute. Big focus on like toxic fixation. Yeah. It's not love, but it's like a obsession. Yeah, obsession. That's the word. I think it's a topic is very strongly on like obsession, right? Because I feel like the Fox guy is obsessed with Hinako. Rinko is obsessed with Shu. Yeah, obsession. Analog of arranged marriages in Japan. Maybe, possibly. It's something, yeah, related to that kind of stuff. I mean, this takes place in the 60s, so probably had more arranged marriages back then. Lap pillow and ear pick. Ah, ine. That's so nice. Ear pick feels good. Please pick my ears. It feels good. Game is themed about the question that people probably put off answering when they are in a situation where they obviously have feelings for each other but are not sure how to talk about it. Yeah, that's definitely also another one. There was a couple of like notes and stuff. Thank you for the water. Some notes and stuff around the school that implies that too. Like, unexpressed feelings. Whether it's like love or like maybe hatred too. Because all the hate letters that Rinko was writing. A collab with who? Haha, well that is a secret. That is still a secret. I'll probably post a schedule like tomorrow or Tuesday. I guess I haven't looked at the schedule. Sounds like a busy week though. Yeah. No worries. Yeah, I haven't posted the schedule yet, so that's probably why. But I will be streaming a couple more times before I leave, so don't worry. Don't worry. Mr. Packersuki's full of jam and mold. You know, that's funny, Squiddy, because I actually did buy jam. I do have jam. I'm gonna bring jam back to my family. I got some like local jams. And I have like 3 of them and I packed it. That is so funny. Squiddy has like a 6th sense. Squiddy had a 6th sense yesterday. Where Squiddy was able to predict 2 seconds into the future. It was great. Thank you, yeah, thank you, Onigiri. Molding it, and by it I mean my minion. Yes, the minion is molding all the time. My favorite part of stream was when she said it's molding time and molded all over the place. That is a true fact. That is a canon event. I did in fact mold everywhere. Let me add them ears, I'll clean them pure. Please, don't go too far though. I don't want you to tear my eardrums. Don't poke a hole in my eardrums. Thank you for the mold, Obi. Thank you. Gotta get that mold shower in before I go to bed. Yeah, Squiddy can predict 2 seconds into the future. So true. The whole thing in Silent Hill is that people are being punished for something. So what could these kids have done? Yeah, that is true. That's a really good point, Jackson. Yeah, because Silent Hill is like... At least Silent Hill, the place in all the other games, yeah, was for punishing people who did horrible things. I think this one, they're taking a little bit of a different take on the whole punishment thing. I think they're doing the kamikakushi. I don't know if you watch Spirited Away, but it's when the gods play games and they kidnap little kids into their realm. But yeah, it's like maybe a form of punishment, but like in a different way. Maybe it's like to teach them a lesson, you know? Get them to learn about something. The mold spores have turned me into a psychic. Yeah, that's one of the many side effects of mold spore overtake. Yes, when you're taken over by the mold spores, you might be able to predict 2 seconds into the future, like Squiddy. That's why you should inhale all the mold while you're here in the back rooms. Yes, mold smoothie. The gods start gardening. Kind of. Yes. In a way. Yeah. Okay, let me go back to the title screen actually. Because I need to close the game so I can open Chrome so my PC doesn't die. Alright. Chrome does take up a lot of processing power. Alright, let's see who we can raid into. I'll post the raid message again in case it got pushed up a little bit. Alright, let me see. Should probably go to stream manager. There's a few people. Wait, let me see what this person's doing. Oh no, no ad. Snooze the ad. Okay, nice. Maybe I'll go into... Maybe I'll raid into... What's it? Sorry, I'm like trying to think of where to go. I think I'll try to go to this person. I've been seeing them on X a lot, on Twitter. If I dare. Oh, Gunther. Yeah, I was gonna go into Gunther too. I was thinking about it. But I really like this person's aesthetic and I want to meet new people. So I think I'll raid into this person if they're not ending soon. The name is Nico Virus. I've been seeing them a lot on X. They've been turning up. They also have like a Backrooms-esque like a horror theme. And I really like the aesthetic. So I shall go there. I hope they're not ending soon though. It's been 3 hours. Alright, thank you everyone so much for coming. I'm just gonna go ahead and start the raid because I'm afraid that they're gonna end it soon. So thank you everyone. I hope you all have a good day tomorrow. Yeah, be nice to Nico. I don't know them, they don't know me. So this will be the first time. But I think they're pretty cool. So make sure you say hi, drop a follow if you want. And I will see you all probably Wednesday. Alright, bye-bye. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Seraphina. Thank you, Obe. Thank you, Squiddy, Brady. Thank you. Jackson, thank you, Dragon. Thank you. And thank you anyone else who also dropped by today. Thank you, Wheat, for the raid. Thank you, thank you. And thank you for the follows and the gifted subs. There were so many gifted subs today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Arigato. The home show spread. Yeah, it's gonna spread. It's spreading to Nico's channel now. But yeah, thank you everyone. I'm just gonna go ahead and raid in now. Bye bye. Don't bully the streamer now. Don't bully the streamer.